What happens if we fall ill in Europe? Do we have the right to go to the next country if the doctors are better or if medicines are cheaper? What about our food? Are some Europeans eating genetically modified meals, whereas others can't? What does the EU do for us as consumers in our everyday lives? Here to answer your questions on iTalk in the European Parliament in Brussels is John Dalli, the Commissioner for Health and Consumer Policy. Mr. Dalli, thank you very much for being with us. Quick questions, quick answers. If you're sitting comfortably, we'll begin with our first question.
Hello, I'm Mathieu from Belgium. Why are prices not the same across Europe?
Very simple question. For example, I live in Paris and Berlin. Mouthwash costs €4 for me in Berlin. It costs €7, exactly the same product, same mouthwash. Why do I pay different prices?
Well, in fact, in many items, Europe has a single market. However, we do not have price harmonization.
Why?
There are different issues of transportation, of advertising requirements, of cost of distribution, and other issues that affect cost and therefore pricing in the different
But is it going to change? Are we going to have more price harmonization?
I believe price harmonization has to come through competition. And basically, this is what the single market brings. It brings competition.
Would you ever be able to impose it on different member states, sir?
I don't believe that we will be imposing price harmonization in everywhere in Europe. But we will be, and my colleague, Commissioner Barnier, is working very hard with all of us to strengthen the single market to bring in this competitive element.
Right, OK, let's have another question now.
My name's Tristan, and I want to know how we can be sure that the meat we buy is properly labelled.
Traceability is a very difficult issue, obviously issues of public health involved. There are so many items within certain products you buy in supermarkets. How can you possibly know where it all comes from?
In fact, on traceability, we have now passed a directive in Parliament, agreed also with Council, on labelling of food, and part of it is on origin of food.
So you can impose that on member states?
We are imposing that on member states in certain issues. On other issues, we will be
which issues you can and which issues you can't?
No, we're enforcing origin on beef, for example. We're imposing origin on poultry and pig meat. And then we will be having a voluntary schemes on other things.
OK, right, let's have a third question now.
My name is Magda. I am from Poland, from Warsaw. And my question is, what can you do for making cheaper organic food?
Organic food costs much more. That's not normal. It's not natural. How can we get the price down?
Organic foods cost more because also the method of production is very labor intensive.
In all countries?
In all countries. And this is one of the problems with organic food. We would like our people to eat healthy. And organic food is one way of improving the quality of food.
We're sure of that, are we? I mean, there have been some health scares recently in Germany, for example. That was organic.
There has been health scares in Germany. It was not due to the organic food production. It was due to infected seeds that were imported from Egypt, in fact. But that scare and that event, in fact, because deaths were experienced in Germany, was well controlled, again, because of the traceability that we have in Europe.
In times of recession, though, is it easy to buy organic food? Nobody wants to pay more for their food, especially when budgets are tight.
That is true, but then we have to really face the realities that costs are costs and producing organic food is more expensive than otherwise.
OK, another question for Commissioner Dalli.
Hello, my name's Robin and I'm from Germany. Would you eat genetically modified food?
Right, I told you, very direct questions here on Euronews. Do you eat genetically modified food yourself?
Well, I can answer that very simply. If it is certified safe by our scientists, then yes, the answer is yes.
Doesn't it worry you, Commissioner Dalli, that we have a different policy with the United States on whether genetically modified food is safe? We've never agreed with them.
We don't have a different policy.
There have been issues in the past.
We have a different authorization process because we authorize our own foods, whether GMO foods, whether they are safe or not. We don't
That's still worrying.
But we don't take the word of the United States. Therefore, we have our own processes, which we are now solidifying quite rapidly and strongly. And we go for a scientific-based decision. If anything is authorized in the European Union, then it must have gone through a very, very tight safety filter. And if it is certified safe, then yes.
Do you think we'll be eating more and more of these genetically modified foods in the future?
I believe that genetically modified foods is a reality that's going to be with us more and more in the future. Also because the science is improving more and more, and the risks attached to it are decreasing.
So you eat them yourself?
Yes, I do.
OK. Another question on consumer affairs here on iTalk.
My name is Joanna Urban. I'm from Poland, and my question is, jak możemy ograniczyć...
I want to know how we can reduce the level of fat served in school meals.
You do anything in terms of harmonisation policy to make sure our children are eating more healthily?
It's not a question of harmonization here. It's a question of assisted programs. And we do have an assistance program in foods throughout Europe through the Commission by, for example, supplying fruit to schools so that we will make our children used to eat healthy food.
Do they really want to eat, though? If you give children chips or broccoli, they eat the chips.
Well, I tell you, children, if they get used to it, yes, they would. I have my own grandchild who comes home and demands healthy food because that's what he's being used to.
Right, OK. Let's have another question here for Commissioner Dalli.
Hello, my name is Jasmine and I'm from Brussels. I'd like to know if it's possible to have a common health system across Europe.
The question I asked at the beginning, can I hop over the frontier if I find the system is better in a different country?
In fact, we have just passed through also a new directive on cross-border healthcare and the rights of patients to cross the borders for healthcare. It is still limited in the way that in many cases they still have to get a pre-authorization from the governments. And
sounds very complicated.
It's not complicated. In fact, we have limited very much this pre-authorization process. But what we have also done is guaranteed reimbursement to the patient when he gets back home.
So you see in the future people are shopping for better healthcare elsewhere?
Well, I can see that in the future, but that is not the scope of the directive. The scope of the directive is to pressurize all governments to give the best care for all patients in their own home.
Aha, I see. Right, let's have one final question for Commissioner Dalli here on iTalk.
My name's Susan and I'm from Northern Ireland, and I have a question for you. My question is, there are massive inequalities in health for migrant women from third countries here in the European Union. I want to know what you're going to do about it to address that imbalance and to ensure that all women have access to health care.
Women's health, a vast issue, obviously. Is there anything you can do about it on a European level?
Inequalities, I believe, is a big issue in Europe. And this is something that we are attacking through investment, through structural funds, which we have now opened up to the health sector as well, so that we can help member states to invest much more to bring this equality in healthcare. As far as women are concerned, we also have a communication. We are reflecting and discussing women's health in particular, and we are trying to bring forward initiatives and measures that will assist the equality in women's health.
Thank you very much indeed, Commissioner Dalli. That's it from our totally virtual and very technological studio here in the European Parliament. Find out who our next guests are and ask your questions written, or you can send us some videos if you like on www.euronews.net/i-talk. See you soon.